This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hi there, my name's Bianca. I'm a SNAP educator with the SNAP Education Program working with City Harvest. Today's recipe will be a delicious stewed cabbage. Remember that everything you eat and drink matters. The right mix can help you be healthier now and in the future. Today we're going to talk about how we can vary our veggies and make half our plate fruits and vegetables. Hopefully by the end of the lesson you'll have learned the health benefits of cabbage and how to prepare this healthy, budget-friendly, and delicious recipe.
MyPlate illustrates the 5 food groups that are the building blocks for a healthy diet. We see the 5 sections that make up MyPlate: fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy. Cabbage falls into the vegetable category. When looking at your own plate, vary your vegetables. It's important to incorporate a variety of vegetables since they provide necessary vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients that our bodies need to stay healthy. Aim to make half your plate fruits and vegetables with a daily goal of at least 2.5 cups of vegetables for adults. Adding cabbage to the plate can put you one step closer to reaching your goal.
All right, guys, let's get started on our stewed cabbage recipe today. Before we begin, let's go over the ingredients we'll be using. We have some celery, we have our green cabbage over here. We'll be using 1 onion today, a few tomatoes, and a couple of cloves of fresh garlic. We'll be seasoning with a little bit of black pepper and salt and some vegetable oil for our pan. Before you get started, make sure to wash your hands with some warm water and soap and make sure that all of your vegetables have been cleaned under cold water. Don't add any soap there. Today we're using an electric skillet right here on the tabletop, and we're going to go ahead and turn that on to low and add in our vegetable oil. Remember, when choosing oils, you want to choose healthier plant-based oils rather than animal oils or fats. Let's go ahead and add our oil to our warm pan. We're adding about 2 tablespoons of oil today. It's important that we aim to make less than 10% of our calories from saturated fat. Trying to read labels is a good technique to look for items with less saturated fat and a little bit more unsaturated fat. Our unsaturated fat has higher levels of our HDL, which are our good ones, and our saturated fat have high levels of LDL, which is our bad ones. Let's go ahead and move on to our first ingredients, our onions and our garlic. These fall into the allium category. If you've never heard that term before, it talks about a variety of plant species, which include things like onion, garlic, shallots, leeks, and even chives. They all fall into the vegetable category. Today we're going to be using both onion and garlic. When choosing your onion, look for ones that feel heavy and are firm to touch without any bruising. If you're not going to use this right away, you can store it in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks. If you're using about half of it, you can put it in a sealed container and that'll last for about 2 to 3 days. Let's go ahead and get started on our onion. The first thing we're going to do is carefully cut one flat surface and then cut our onion in half and peel away that skin. I just have an easy little garbage bowl right here in front of me. Today we're going to be dicing up our onion nice and small. So once our skin is peeled away, don't worry if you get a little emotional while cutting onions, happens to the best of us. All right, guys, so what we're going to do is with the firm hand right on top, we're going to cut lengthwise down the middle and then a couple of slices down. And this way we have nice small pieces of onion. Once your onion's all chopped up, go ahead and add that right into your warm pan that your oil is in. And we're going to let that cook and get softened and maybe turn a little bit brown. Let's go ahead and move on to our garlic. Today we're using 3 cloves of garlic. If you're not going to use it and it stays intact, you can leave garlic in the refrigerator for up to 8 weeks. If it's peeled, it'll last for about 3 weeks. Let's go ahead and using the palm of our hand and some of our weight, we're going to go ahead and smush our garlic, make it a little bit easier for us to peel. And then we're going to peel away the skin. And we're gonna dice it up just like we did our onion, and then we're gonna throw it into the pan. It's important to throw in our onion first because garlic is a little bit more delicate and it might burn if it cooks for too long. All right, now that our garlic is all minced up, we're gonna go ahead and add it right to our pan with our onions in there and let that cook for a few minutes. Let's talk about our celery. A green veggie with these long fibrous stalks that taper off into leaves up at the top. Celery has a high water content, but also packs a variety of nutrients, including vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin K. You can eat celery raw, cooked. Often we see it even juiced. When selecting celery, you want to look for bunches that are firm and tightly packed, with leaves that are not wilted and pretty vibrant color. To store celery, you can wrap the bottom in a piece of dry paper towel, place it in a baggie, and it'll last in the refrigerator for about 3 weeks. For our recipe today, we're going to grab off a couple of stalks of celery here, about 3. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off the very end. You'll see that there's a lot of dirt on the ends of celery, even though we washed it. So we're going to go ahead and cut that off, and then cut off the very, very tops, just a little bit of our celery. Most people get rid of these really beautiful celery leaves, but they pack a lot of flavor. When they're cooked. You can also use them on top for garnish of your dish, but they're really tasty and really nutritious. So we're going to leave them on and we're going to chop them up and add them to our recipe. All of our celery is chopped. We're going to add that to our onions and our garlic. Our onions have become translucent and caramelized a little bit, starting to brown. Let's talk about the star of our recipe, our cabbage. Cabbage is considered a vegetable and comes in lots of different varieties and colors, including green, white, and red. Closely related to the broccoli and cauliflower, Brussels sprouts are often considered a baby cabbage because they fall into the same family. When you're selecting a cabbage, you want to look for one with bright color, dense, and firm to touch. They can be stored in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 months. When cooking with the cabbage, I often rip off these outside leaves if they're really soft and dirty. I've already washed my cabbage. I'm going to go ahead and cut around this stem. We're going to use about half of our cabbage today. For our recipe today, we're going to cut nice thin slices for our cabbage. Now that our cabbage is cut, we're going to go ahead and add it to our pan with those onions and garlic and our celery. And then we're just going to give it a stir so that everything is mixed before we add in our tomatoes. First thing I think of when I see a tomato is, are you a fruit or are you a vegetable? Right? So this is the most common asked questions. For this recipe's purposes, and according to MyPlate, we're going to consider this a vegetable. If you want to consider it a fruit, that's fine. I would just advise you not to put it in your fruit salad. Tomatoes come in a variety of different colors, including most common red, but also we see them in green, in yellow, orange, even purple. They come in a variety of different sizes too. So we see ones cherries and grape, also varieties like heirloom or Roma, just to name a few. When selecting your tomatoes, you want to look for ones that are without blemishes or bruises. They want to be firm to touch, but also still a little bit soft. We don't want to refrigerate our tomatoes. We want to avoid that. We want to leave them out on the counter in a dark spot. Ripened tomatoes will only last for a few days. For today's recipe, we're going to dice up our tomatoes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the very top and make a nice flat surface for us to work with. We're not going to take out any of those seeds or juice. We want all of that juice in our cabbage recipe. That's what's going to create our cabbage stew. Now that we've diced up all of our tomatoes, let's go ahead and add it to the pan. Oh man, these are looking beautiful. The color is super vibrant. Lots of juices in there. This is going to make our stew taste delicious. Now that our tomatoes are in there, we're going to stir it up, make sure everything is incorporated. We're going to put a top on this and close this and let this cook for about 7 to 10 minutes or until all of our veggies are nice and soft. Before we finish up, we're going to season with a little bit of black pepper and a little bit of salt. Remember not to overdo it with the salt. We've already seasoned our dish with tons of flavor from the onions and the garlic. Adding a fresh herb to this dish, something like basil or cilantro, would be a great addition. This recipe yields 4 servings, about a half cup each. This recipe would count towards the adult daily goal of 2.5 cups of vegetables per day. The total cost for this recipe is about $5.90 or $1.48 per serving. Different varieties of cabbage will grow at different times of the year. Often you'll see cabbage for a pretty affordable price in the grocery store. If fresh is not available, frozen or cans are always good options. Let's go ahead and serve out a portion of this stewed cabbage. Oh man, this smells delicious. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. We learned about the 5 food groups that are the building blocks for a healthy diet and how to prepare a delicious and easy side dish or main meal using cabbage. Remember, small changes in what we eat can make a really big difference. Thanks so much for visiting, guys. Hope to see you next time.
Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP Ed New York. This program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material was funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.